there's lots of folks on this call who are actively in the field trying to make change happen in their place, be that at a neighborhood level or at a community level. So how, in your opinion, how do you think the notion of place affects the dynamics of a social change effort? And if you're really aware of that, how might folks leverage that?
Well, I mean, I think place is crucial. And one of the points that we make in Getting to Maybe is that you don't start in any abstract sense. You start where you are. And that is what's calling to you in your immediate environment, in your communities, in your relationships, and in terms of your own capacities, your own development, your own gifts and skills that you bring to it. And there's it has always appeared to work best when those things come together. So, for example, you know, I live in a rural part of Ontario at the moment, and when I look around me, I you know, see a young woman who's a neighbor of mine from of Dutch descent who has, you know, been fascinated by food and fascinated by the number of organic farmers in this area producing meat, vegetables, etc., but without any kind of effort to coordinate a market. So, you know, she located that. She said, you know, here's a gap. And, you know, what we need is to develop some mechanisms and means for connecting these particular farmers to markets. So, you know, she sort of started in with what she knew about, you know, about food and what she knew about how to make connections with people, and she's one of these people who, you know, can make good connections easily. And she began to set up this network. And so, you know, I mean, she started where she was. We just got back from, you know, a Banff summer school that we were running, where one of the women there was Linda Thomas, who many people know, who's is a judge in Alberta in one of the First Nations communities. And she, you know, what she wanted to do was to try to persuade the court system where she was involved to bring in, you know, ideas of Indigenous justice and involve elders in making those decisions. So she started with the people she knew, the issues she knew. That's what called her. Now, you know, I think sometimes place is not geographical. Sometimes I do think that place has to do with a professional community. And I remember many years ago, one of my first studies of the dynamics of change was looking at, you know, Bob Geldof, the musician, when he started the Live Aid movement. And, you know, he had this feeling of being, you know, startled and upset by famine in Ethiopia at that point, and feeling that, you know, he just had to do something about it. But, you know, he was an Irish musician, he lived in England, so, you know, he didn't rush off and join a development organization and fly off to, you know, try to do it himself. He organized the music community because that's what he knew. And for, you know, that wasn't so much place-based as professionally based. It was a community of peers which he understood very well. So he said, how can I use these dynamics, which I know, to affect a change in this, you know, adjacent area? And you know, was able, you know, to raise a lot of money and to circumvent some of the bureaucracies of the aid system at that point to bring money very directly. Now, there were problems. It wasn't perfect, but so it isn't always that it's a physical place, but it very often is, because, you know, to be an effective change agent, to be an effective innovator, you have to start with who you are and where you are, and you have to have faith that that is in fact the way you can be most effective. You can't be most effective by being somebody else. You can't be most effective by trying to, you know, work in an area where you know very little, because there is so much around us that calls to us immediately. And if it calls to you, it calls to you. It's your capacity. You can see it. Yeah. Another person can't. So that's where you start. And I think place is very important to that.